Hear ya.
Hear ya.
Hey, you like
All right, good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Planning Commission of San Rafael. It's Tuesday, October 13th. This meeting is now called to order. I'll ask staff if we could take a quick roll call of the commissioners who are present tonight.
Commissioner Davidson.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Lubomirsky.
Here.
Commissioner Privatali.
Here.
Commissioner Saudi.
Here.
Vice Chair Samuzzi.
Here.
And Chair Mercado.
I'm here. Thank you. All right, everybody's here tonight. Great. Next, we'll move on to the order of the agenda. Are there any changes to the order of the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Okay, great. Next, I'll move on to the meeting procedure. So due to COVID-19 shelter-in-place order, we've had to establish new ways of conducting our public meetings. And I'd ask staff if they can address to the public how public comment will work for this evening, please.
Good evening, commissioners. Tonight we're accepting public comments over the telephone and through the YouTube live chat feature. The meeting is being streamed live to YouTube, where members of the community can provide public comments on agenda items in YouTube's live chat. That can be found at www.youtube.com/City of San Rafael, one word. You also have the option for community members to attend via conference call at the following phone number: 669-900-9128. And the meeting ID for this meeting is 872-0645-4435#. If you are participating by telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press *9 when the chair opens the public comment period for the item you'd like to speak on. What this does is virtually raises your hand so we know that you'd like to comment. Once it is your turn to speak, you'll hear a notification that the host is inviting you to speak. At that time, press *6, which will unmute yourself. You can then speak, introduce yourself, and you'll be allotted up to 3 minutes to provide your comments. If you're providing your comments on YouTube, you can enter the public comments in the live chat box to let us know you want your comments read out loud by typing in all caps "public comment" at the beginning. Introduce yourself and let us know if you're speaking on an agenda item or a non-agenda item. Comments in the chat are limited to 3 minutes worth of text. One thing to note, the YouTube chat feature has a 200-character limit. If you have more than 200 characters in your comment, you can enter your first comment, then hit enter, and then continue the comment with another 200 characters in the text box. Comments will be read as submitted. Words including profanity, obscenity, discriminatory language that disturb the decorum of this meeting will not be read into the record. If you have submitted comments prior to the meeting by email or letter, it has been forwarded to the Planning Commission and published on our website. For more information regarding this real-time public comment process, please visit our live commenting pilot page at www.cityofsanrafael.org/live-commenting-pilot. That's it, Chair Mercado.
Thank you, Rafi. Appreciate that. Okay, and I'll describe tonight's meeting procedures real quick. We'll begin with the staff report. Then we'll hear from the applicant, and we're requesting of the applicant to keep their presentation to under 10 minutes. Then we'll open that up to the public, which they'll be invited to speak. We'll read any comments that are made on the YouTube live chat, and people on conference call can speak when they've received the notification and they've been unmuted. And again, please keep those comments in 2 to 3 minutes. Commission will have the opportunity to then ask questions of staff, the applicant, or the public after each segment. We will close the public hearing and bring the matter back to the commission for discussion and action as necessary. So the next item is urgent communications. I'll ask if anyone on the commission has any urgent communications, not a topic on the agenda. Okay, and then I'll open that up for the public as well. If there's anyone tonight that has an item not on the agenda that's an urgent matter, we'll open up for the public to comment.
So we have a few callers, but none of them have raised their hand yet. And I'm checking YouTube to see if there's any comments for items not on tonight's agenda. We'll give it just another couple seconds here. Again, if you want to speak on items not on tonight's agenda, you can press *9 to raise your hand via conference call, or you type your comment into the chat feature on YouTube Live. And I'm not seeing any comments on either chat nor the conference call, Chair Mercado.
Great. Thank you again. Okay, next we'll move on to consent calendar, which it looks like just one item. That's approving the minutes from, is it September 15th? No. Our last Planning Commission meeting.
September 29th, it should have been.
It's the 29th. I missed
29th?
it because of my son's birthday.
Thank you. Okay, so we're on consent calendar to approve the minutes from the September 29th meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Any edits or comments? Hearing none. Somebody wants to provide a second?
I'll second.
Great. And Allie, if you want to take a roll call, please.
Or Commissioner Davidson,
Stain wasn't here.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Lubomirsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Previtali,
Yes.
Commissioner Saudi,
Yes.
Vice Chair Samudzi,
Yes.
and Chair Mercado.
I'll abstain as well. I was absent. Thank you. Okay, great. We'll open this up now for our public hearing matter tonight. And this is, I believe, the one and only item tonight. I'll read this quickly into the record. This is 1530 and 1534 Fifth Avenue, Marin Academy. This is a request for a use permit and an environmental and design review permit to allow the replacement and relocation of the aquatic center on the Marin Academy campus. So I'll ask if staff can please provide its report.
Thank you, Chair Mercado and commissioners. Thank you, Chair Mercado and commissioners. Again, tonight we are going to be reviewing the most recent proposed expansion of the Marin Academy campus. It's really not an expansion, it's more of a replacement, reconstruction and relocation of their existing aquatic center, which currently is located above the athletic fields, and now it'll be located below the athletic fields across from Fifth Avenue. Specifically, the project description includes a swimming pool, a 25-yard by 33-meter swimming pool. It involves a support building with maintenance, showers, restrooms, and it also involves associated site improvements that include concrete decking, bleacher seating, PA system, landscaping, scoreboard, LED lighting, and perimeter fencing. It's important to note that while this is an expansion, somewhat of an expansion of the Marin Academy campus, it is not increasing the maximum allowable student enrollment at Marin Academy, which is an important measure currently through their master development plan, which is capped at 450 students. Entitlements requested tonight are going to be a design review permit for the new campus structure and a use permit, once again, to bring this site into the Marin Academy master plan, the master campus development plan. No changes, once again, in the master plan beyond just bringing in this site into the campus plan. Project site currently is developed with two-story medical office buildings and surface parking areas. The design review board actually reviewed this on 2 separate occasions, not 3. In December of of 2018, it had a conceptual review, and just this summer, it had formal review, at which time the board unanimously recommended approval of site and building design with some minor design changes, which have been incorporated in condition 2 of the design review underneath the environmental design review and the resolution. Comments received by staff throughout the process, including the conceptual review and up to this moment, included 9 that were provided to us before the staff report was published and distributed to the Planning Commission, mostly in support of the project. An additional 17 public comments came in after the publishing the distribution of the staff's report. All were in support of the project. Most of they were coming from the Tamalpais Aquatic Master Swim Team, which currently uses the Marin Academy Aquatic Center as a community partnership. They conduct their swim facilities there. By the way, those additional public comments were provided to you earlier today under separate email cover. Staff did have a couple of corrections we wanted to bring up that we think are important to note. After careful examination, we believe that there is a more appropriate CEQA exemption. We still believe this project is CEQA exempt, but we believe that maybe a different CEQA exemption is more appropriate. So I wanted to notify you that we will be using 15 CEQA exemptions, section 15.314, which is minor additions to schools, specifically for this type of application, rather than the one that's listed both in the staff report and on the resolution, which is CEQA exemption section 15.332, which is the infill exemption. The infill exemption is more appropriate for commercial buildings, where the section 15.314, which was what we are recommending currently, specifically involves additions to schools. In this case, there is a small physical addition, but yet no increase in student capacity allowed under the master campus plan. One additional correction we wanted to provide is on condition 34, which you will find on page 34, page 13 on your draft resolution. Currently, this project site involves 2 adjacent legal lots. Those lots will have to be consolidated. However, the project also bleeds into development over the property line and onto the adjacent property, also owned by Marin Academy, directly to the west of the site. So we wanted to propose...
Sorry to interrupt. The slides aren't advancing. If you're trying to show advancement, we're still on the title page, unless you intend to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Saudi, for calling that out.
Sorry, man. This thing is locked. It's not down. Let me get it.
Where's the
You looking for my
this PowerPoint?
it's closed. Or it's not, it might be right there. No, it's
No,
Adobe.
no. Okay, why don't you just continue with the presentation? We don't have the...
Okay. I apologize to the commission and also to the public and even support staff. We're having some technical difficulties with the PowerPoint, but to continue where I was at, another correction that the staff would be recommending would be changing a small change in the language to condition 34, which you'll find on page 13. Specifically, The existing lots, there are 2 lots that need to be merged. In addition to, the project also proposes development that's on an adjacent lot, which is also commonly owned by Marin Academy. Specifically, that's 1540 Fifth Avenue and 2nd and 2 Cottage Avenue. In order to contain all the development within the parameters of these 2 lots, the lot line, the common lot line will need to be adjusted between the existing parcels to the west and the project site. In addition, they'll have to merge or consolidate the lot line that separates the 2 lots that create basically the project site. It is not part of this project. It's not part of this. The applicants have an option of either asking for a lot line adjustment and adjusting the line currently with this project, or coming back and working through administratively through staff. And Marin Academy has chosen to work through staff administratively after this process. However, one of the conditions does require that that the lot line adjustment occur, that the consolidation. Staff currently is suggesting and recommending a change in language, a minor change in language. And specifically, it's the final sentence in that condition, which again is condition 34 on page 13. It says, and the 2 lots that are that are form the project site shall be consolidated. It appears portions of the proposed improvements also encroach into the adjacent site. Therefore, will require the project site be consolidated with the adjacent parcel. That is one option. They can consolidate the entire project site with the adjacent site, also commonly owned by Marin Academy, or they just need to adjust the shared property line and still keep this project site separate. So once again, staff recommends some minor changes in language on condition 34, and I can explain that a little further if any of the commissioners have further questions regarding it. Staff recommends approving this project. It goes a long way to the current aquatic facility is unusable based on determination by Marin County Environmental Health Services. It doesn't comply with current health and safety requirements, code requirements. This project allows Marin Academy to continue upgrading their existing facilities on campus while mitigating new potential impacts. The project will provide an opportunity to improve landscape character on the project site along both the 5th and Mission Avenue frontages. The project does not propose to increase maximum student enrollment capacity at Marin Academy. And lastly, on this summer, on July 21st, 2020, the Design Review Board reviewed the proposed project and unanimously recommended approval of the site and building design, subject to minor recommended design changes, which have been encapsulated in condition of approval, condition number 2, in the resolution, the draft resolution in front of you. That concludes staff's somewhat abbreviated introduction to the project. Does the commission have any questions of staff?
Thank you, Steve. Commissioners, any questions? No, I do. I just want to verify. Oh, go ahead. Yes, Commissioner Hill.
Yes, thank you. I will note I saw a fair amount, actually by count, 39 references to noise. I didn't do a count on the light mitigations, but I appreciated the amount of attention to noise mitigation. There was a part where I didn't exactly understand. And by the way, I visited the site just so I could try to place get my bearings there. I was trying to figure out, there was a noise mitigation that I didn't quite understand. It was to reduce noise. It was to create a, sorry, I'm looking for it right now. I'm having my own technical difficulties, Steve, so I appreciate the accommodation. Ducting, sheet metal ductwork. Is there an ability to kind of walk through and explain how that creates, how the lined ductwork mitigates noise?
Ooh, that was in the noise study that was submitted with the project. It was done through Charles Salter and Associates, and they just determined that the amount of mechanical equipment needed for the operations, there must be, maybe there's the length of ductwork that when it shuts off and on, there's a certain amount of vibrations. So they recommended that they be lined. I can't speak beyond that, frankly. Perhaps maybe Marin Academy has someone on their team that might be able to speak to that.
Yes, hi, this is Mike Joyce. I'm the CFO at Marin Academy, and we are actually going to cover some of the acoustics in our presentation. So we could take it there, and if there are further questions, we can do some follow-up.
Great, thank you.
I have a question about the lot line adjustments and just the sequencing of the approvals. Steve, could you kind of describe that further and kind of describe why we're not reviewing a lot line adjustment as part of the application?
Sure. The applicants have a choice, quite frankly. They have a choice. They can either include the proposed lot line adjustments as part of this project, or they can come back. It's done at an administrative level. So this could be done at a later date. Should Marin Academy shelve this thing for a year, they can come back to staff and submit an application for the lot line adjustment. It doesn't necessarily require to be bundled with the entitlements. In this case, Marin Academy chose their choice to do this, bifurcate this, to come back with staff and work with it administratively at that time. It just, building permits cannot be issued until and unless that lot line adjustment has been approved by the community development director. And as mentioned, and it might not have come out very clearly, but it would involve consolidation of the two lots that create the project site. But yet there's also a slight problem because there is development proposed that's crossing the property line, but it affects the adjacent property immediately to the west, which is also commonly owned by Marin Academy. So it's not a big deal. It just requires that common lot line property line between those sites has to be adjusted ever so slightly. It sounds like they're interested in maintaining that property line. It just needs to be slightly modified, tilted, if you will. But beyond that, no building permit can be issued prior to the lot line adjustment approval through the community development director.
If I can just add, lot line adjustments, when it involves lot consolidation, sometimes developers or applicants will wait till they receive some sort of an okay from the commission, because it involves getting a survey done, doing some calculations, and so waiting till the applicant actually gets a decision makes them feel more comfortable with moving forward with the cost of doing that work.
That makes sense. Yeah, I hear that. Great. Thank you for clarifying, Allie.
Anyone else want to questions? Steve, do you know if they later do the lot line adjustment? Are we under this use permit? Is it automatically going to be expanded onto that additional portion? I'm assuming they're adjusting now to gain a little bit more for whatever building they need. Do we have language in this resolution that covers that the use permit's going to expand onto that?
The only condition that was dropped in there was the condition that was provided by the Department of Public Works, and that, as I mentioned, that was in
34.
condition 34.
Okay. Was there another change in the conditions? I'm sorry. I want to make sure I have. I have 34. Was there 15, or did you say one earlier?
No, the only other change that I wanted to bring to the commission's attention was simply we found a more appropriate CEQA exemption. So we wanted to bring that to you. So that's a 15.3.14 rather than 15.3.3.2.
Okay.
My apology.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Next, we will, unless there's anyone else, which I don't think so. Appreciate it, Steve. Next, we'll move on for the applicant. If the applicant can please make their presentation. And again, just a reminder, try to keep it around 10 minutes if possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Steve. Good evening, Chair Mercado and the rest of the commissioners. Thank you so much for having us here this evening, and all members of the public as well. I'll start by saying we were hoping for 15 minutes, but we'll move as quickly as we can while also being thorough. I'm really looking forward to showing you this this presentation. Next slide, please, Mike. We'll have two parts of it. We'll talk about, and I'll talk about the project overview. I'll turn it over to Mike Joyce, whom you've already heard from, our CFO, to talk about hours and access, and then I'll turn it over to our architects to talk about the design summary. This is something that we have been imagining for a long time. It has been part of our master plan called Vision 2030 that we approved in 2010, and then have continued to move forward with it as well. Next slide, please, Mike. This is our current pool. I don't think it was today, but it could have been today, of where our students swim now, both for our water polo program, our interscholastic swim team, and where we have also for 1 year had our wellness program participate in. It was built in 1930, so that makes this pool 90 years old, which is well past its useful state of life. Usually they say pools last between 25 and 30 years. So we feel like we've gotten triple duty out of this pool. It was actually built when it was San Rafael Military Academy. What we realize is that it is not possible. It does not, it is well past that useful life and requires substantial health and safety upgrades. Next slide, please, Mike. This will show you where our current pool is up there in the top right-hand corner. It is tucked beside and behind our two gyms there, and it's way up in the most northern part of our campus. And you can see that it's very close into our neighbors there up on Bryn Mawr. Next slide, please, Mike. Our site for this pool, as you know, are those two buildings that are adjacent to what we refer to as our library building. They are right to the east there. We bought these properties a couple of years ago and decided that this would be the best place for us to locate a new aquatic center that would serve the purposes of our school and, equally important, the purposes of, I hope, the San Rafael community. Next slide, please, Mike. This is the current buildings that are there, no longer occupied anymore. But you can see right to the left is our library building. I'm right close up next to that. And those buildings themselves look a little bit well past their prime as well. So what we would be looking to do would be to demolish those buildings and build our new aquatic center on that site, making, we believe, excellent use of the land and also improving the landscaping and the way Fifth Avenue looks, looking north from Fifth Avenue. Next slide, please, Mike. This is a rendering of what we think that will look like when we are finished. And you can see a tremendous difference between the last slide and this one. You will see that that is about a 9-foot wall that is designed obviously for safety reasons, but at either end of that wall, on both the east and west ends, you can see that there are sort of slats so that the public itself can also get a view of what's going on in there, and also to break up that wall. But again, that is the view standing on 5th Street looking north. And one of the things that Marin Academy has always done in its projects, whether it was our Science and Innovation Center, our Visual Arts Center, the library building that you see there, or anything else, is that we have taken very much to heart that we are not just in this community, but that we are of this community. So we have paid great attention to what kind of a visual and aesthetic impact that our work has on our community, and take great responsibility for taking care of the plantings, the sidewalks, the cuts of the sidewalks, and all of those sorts of things. So I think that there is a tremendous shift in the aesthetics when we look at what we could do with that north-facing view there. Next slide, please, Mike. So what is this aquatic center for? What's going to happen? So for us, it's first and foremost about health and about wellness. And we want this aquatic center to serve as a resource of instruction and also for healthy lifestyles. Last year, we began a required program for all 9th graders. So every one of our 9th graders took what we call the Mind, Body, Brain program, talking about the relationship between neuroscience and our bodies, between brain health and physical health and wellness. That program ends with a water safety chapter to it, in which all kids know how to swim. So I like to say, literally everyone at MA gets in this pool. And also, I believe very strongly in the importance of teaching our youth water safety. We will also use it, as you can see on that slide, for other things. It could be used for physical rehabilitation, not only for our students and athletes, but potentially in the public. And I'll talk a little bit also about our adult and youth to swim programs in just a second. Next slide, please, Mike. We do have 2 interscholastic teams, excuse me, that currently use this pool. That will use this pool. The first is our water polo program. You can see that was our water polo goalie from several years ago, who, when they arrived at MA, was not a strong swimmer and ended up being the goalie when we won one of the championships. So it has been a place for our students to develop. So one of them is for water polo, boys and girls, and then also a competitive size swimming pool for our swim teams, boys and girls. And the swim program is the longest living program, athletic program at Marin Academy. Next slide, please, Mike. So this is the one that I think is really very, very important. Many of you know that Marin Academy for a number of years has had a Crossroads program, probably for 20 years, that has served youth from resource-deprived public schools in some ways, and for our students who come, who are rising 5th, 6th, and 7th graders for a tuition-free enrichment program in numeracy and literacy. We joined about 10 years ago with a program called Aim High, so that every summer we serve over 100 middle school students in an enrichment program. And that is something that we do tuition free. And obviously, even more importantly, we find is that it is run by members of our community, and many of our students teach in that program. And we, of course, love it. Some of them become teachers themselves. What is also important to me, and I want to make this point very strongly, is that we are not simply the school on the hill. We are a school that wants to be of San Rafael and of this Marin community. So from my perspective, tuition free, or resource free to learn to swim programs are important. Our new athletic director has begun to make some work in that. Make a Splash is a program that some of you may know that do learn to swim programs for underserved communities. And we know that there are not enough pools in Marin to help cover that need. And this is a serious commitment that we have. We're also looking into partnerships with U.S. Swimming. So from my perspective, with our Aim High Crossroads students, when they are here in the summer, this is also a pool that they use every single day. So for us, it is about our interscholastic athletes. It is about our wellness program and teaching wellness to all of our students. And it's equally about being a member of this community. To me, it is one of the greatest drivers. I can't wait for the moment when we can have our first Learn to Swim program, where I can imagine students from our school, but also from other schools, learning to become lifeguards, which is certainly a terrific way to have a summer job and a summer program there. There are also other educational focused nonprofits and community partners that we would be in touch with as well. Next slide, please, Mike. I'm going to turn this now over to Mike Joyce. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Mike.
Thank you, Travis. We've prepared this graphic to illustrate what a typical weekday and a weekend will look like in the new pool facility. The hours of operation and activities presented here are comparable to those of other high school pools in Marin County. Some activities are seasonal and some occur daily, and I'd like to highlight a few of each. During the week, the pool day generally starts and ends with relatively quiet master's lap swimming. During the school day, Marin Academy's Mind, Body, Brain program will use the pool during its swim and water safety segments. There may also be occasional passive community use on some days, or no programmed use at all. After the school day, Marin Academy swim and water polo teams will practice and have occasional home games and meets during their respective seasons. Weekend use generally has later start times and earlier end times, with activities ranging from lap swimming, team workouts, and more opportunities for community-based swim and aquatic education. This slide shows how students and the public will access the site. Parking and access is similar to what occurs currently with our existing pool, with users parking on surface streets when school is in session, or on the Marin Academy campus after the school day and on weekends, and then walking to the pool. Our site plan also includes a pullout on the north end for pickups, drop-offs, and delivery of pool supplies. Also on the north end is a new sidewalk where currently no sidewalk exists. The project also adds 2 street parking spaces along 5th Avenue where currently there are 2 curb cuts. During its review of the project, the Department of Public Works asked the school to study pedestrian flow at the Cottage Mission intersection. Marin Academy engaged for Easy Transportation to conduct a signal warrant study here. The study concluded that no traffic signals are required. However, it did recommend certain improvements to the signage and street paint at the intersection to enhance pedestrian safety. The school is prepared to adopt each of these recommendations as part of the project. I will now pass the presentation to Scott Schell of EHDD Architecture, who will highlight some of the key design aspects of the project.
Thanks, Mike, and good evening, everyone. So here you see a site plan of the project, and this is mostly a site project. It's a lot of site work and a little building. You'll see the pool in the middle and the pool building up on the north end against Mission. There's an entry both up from the Mission side and from the 5th Avenue side. Next slide, please. The pool itself is regulation 25 yards, and it's 33 meters, which is designed to accommodate the water polo play. It's 7 feet deep, which is important for water polo so that people don't get an unfair advantage pushing off the bottom. It's a shallow portion at the south end of the site and entry stairs. Next slide, please. We have two sections here to give you some sense of the scale of the building. So there's an east-west section on the top, and you'll see their library building on the left and the existing office building on the right. And then there's a north-south section, and you'll see this is the perimeter wall with vines planted along it, and the pool house up against Mission Avenue. The pool house has a terrace, which is screened by the full-height mechanical room next to it. Next slide, please. So again, as I said, it's mostly a site project. And one difference from the earlier rendering that you saw that was suggested by the Design Review Board is to push the fence, the wall, back further from Fifth. And so that provided a broader, more generous landscape area out there with some new street trees. As Mike mentioned, those curb cuts are gone, so it's a nicer pedestrian experience. There's both accessible and stair entries. There's about a 15-foot pool deck around the pool, bleachers along the west side, and then also on top of the pool building on the terrace, there's some seating for viewing from above. Next slide, please. The building is really simple. There's kind of the left half here, which is the men's and women's restrooms and showers and changing rooms. And the rest of it's mostly mechanical equipment. There's a lot of filtration and other equipment associated with it. And to respond to Commissioner Hill's questions about the insulation and the ductwork, this mechanical room needs ventilation, intake, and exhaust. And to keep the noise from that equipment radiating out at night after hours, there needs to be a certain linear feet of ductwork that's lined with 1 inch of acoustic absorptive material to dampen that sound before it reaches outdoors. All this mechanical equipment is put inside to control it both visually and acoustically. There's also an office here in the lower right-hand corner with views out to the pool for security and oversight, and a gender-neutral restroom or family restroom there. Next slide, please. So we have just a few visual simulations. So this is along Mission Avenue. This is heading west. And so you'll see this is the pool building here facing on it, and the safety wall going along it. And you'll see the landscaping and vines along there to soften that. Next slide, please. Also along Mission Avenue, looking in the other direction, driving toward the east, you'll see the pullout for deliveries and drop off. And then there's a glimpse of fence here where it's pickets, so you can get a glimpse down into the pool and see it's a pool and see what's going on as you drive by. Next slide. Moving down to the Fifth Avenue side, this is again heading in the westerly direction, and on the right you'll see the existing building there to remain. And the first thing you see on the Marin Academy campus is the wall along here. So there'll be some signage there, and really trying to make some generous, welcoming, and inviting landscaping there to welcome you to the Marin Academy campus. Next slide. And then the last view is on Fifth Avenue headed east. And again, there's on the left here, you'll see their library. Behind the bushes, there's some accessible parking spaces, and then a glimpse on this corner into the pool as well. Next slide. So I think that will wrap it up for now, and we're happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you, everybody. All right, I'll put this back to the commissioners if there's any questions to the applicant.
I have one question. So on the days you have water polo matches, bigger, maybe 50 people, 25 cars, where do you anticipate those people parking?
Thank you, Commissioner. Water polo games will be after the school day, and we have ample parking on the Marin Academy campus where visitors currently park for other athletic activities at the school. So like similarly, if we have a swim meet on the campus, currently we don't have water polo home games because our pool doesn't permit that with half of it being, a shallow pool. But a comparable activity might be a swim meet. And when we host a home swim meet, visiting teams and other visitors can park on the Marin Academy campus. It's after school hours. Most students have already driven their cars, have left campus. So there's plenty of parking there.
So they'd be walking down the hill to the aquatic center.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons why the Department of Public Works asked us to do a pedestrian flow study at the Cottage Mission intersection. They wanted to make sure that there wasn't a significant increase in pedestrian traffic that might warrant a signal at that intersection, and that's why we did the study.
And having some experience at running athletic events around a pool, is there a mechanism in place now if neighbors are upset if you are running swim meets, maybe youth swim meets, if you decide to host swimmer in, things like that? Is there a mechanism in place now if there's loud noises and things like that in the morning on your athletic fields, or,
Yeah, a lot of neighbors know my phone number and email, but we encourage our neighbors to call us. Also on their speed dial is our Dean of Students, and I would say even Travis's phone number and email as well. We hear from neighbors, and we like to hear from neighbors, and I think we have a pretty good record of responding to neighbors as well.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Questions for the applicant team? None? Okay. I had a quick question. I'm wondering, the existing pool site, is there plans yet for what's going to happen with that?
Thank you for your question, Chair Mercado. Right now, we're going to keep the pool, the current pool operating until the new one is built, and then we will demo the old pool. And well, we're not quite sure what our new plans for that location are yet, but we won't be running two pools at the same time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Chair Mercado, I'll throw in a question. What is your plan 2035 currently show for that site?
It's our Vision 2030. Right now, we don't have plans for that site.
Any other questions? If not, we'll open this up to the public. Great, thank you to everyone who presented. Okay, next I'll close the applicant's portion and we will open this up for public comment. And if Rafa, you want to help remind people how that looks like. And I'll just kind of remind the public again, if other people are saying something that you support or reiterating, feel free to jump on and say you can support that. You can utilize the other functions that we have to indicate that. So Rafi, go ahead and let the public know how they can comment if they so choose to.
Right, thank you. If there's anyone on the conference call that wishes to provide public comment on this agenda item, press *9 to virtually raise your hand. Once it is your turn, you will hear a notification that the host is inviting you to participate. At that time, please press *6 to unmute yourself. You can then speak by introducing yourself, and you'll be allotted up to 3 minutes to speak. One note about those calling in, please make sure that if you're watching it also on YouTube, that you turn the volume down on the YouTube feed so we don't get the dual feed going. That will disrupt your comments and make it difficult to follow. While I wait for more participants to press *9, I'll also request public comments to be submitted through YouTube chat at this time. Again, you can enter your comments in the chat box. There's a 200-character limit. If your comments go over 200 characters, just add it in the next box and hit enter. So while we wait for YouTube live chat comments, we do have a few callers. So I will start with the first one.
Hi there. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to comment. I am a 19-year San Rafael resident, myself and my wife, and my daughter is a Marin Academy senior and a dual sport aquatic athlete. I'd like to speak for this plan. I think it's tremendous to be able to have an opportunity to have such a great facility proposed. We, like most families who are aquatic families, if you want to call it that, our journey started in grade school with the Marin Swim League, and our kid has swum in Novato for a team and Larkspur for a team and played water polo in San Anselmo. And I'm just pointing out these stops because this is typical for Marin aquatics. Kids do this all the time. They're moving all over the place, and that's primarily because there is a lack of suitable pool space. You go where you can find space to do what you need to do, and this is the case also, as has been pointed out, for the Marin Academy pool that exists now. The pool is not suitable for water polo matches or full swim meets, and it's quite old and in need of a lot of repair. So again, just a wonderful addition to the community, not just the aquatic community in San Rafael, but the community as a whole. I hope that the commission sees this favorably, and again, I appreciate the opportunity to comment.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Martha Olson. I'm a member of the TAM Masters swim team. I've been swimming in the current MA pool for more than 30 years. I know you've heard from a lot of us because we're pretty excited about this new pool. And I thought it would be valuable to hear from someone in the Marin swimming community, like the previous caller, why we just desperately need more pools to support this sport we love. As you've been hearing, there just aren't enough places to swim that are open to the community. Most pools are private or membership only, or there's just limited access to community members. Maybe they're the College of Marin or a high school, but there's such a huge demand. And whether you're learning to swim or you want to play water polo or swim for fitness or compete in triathlons, or whether you want to join a master's team, we are all competing for pool time. Our team has been lucky. We're the lucky ones. We've had a home at MA for the past 40 years. But yet, as you've heard said earlier tonight, if this new pool doesn't happen, the current MA pool that we enjoy goes away. So that's 80 or more dedicated swimmers added to the community that's fighting for pool time in San Rafael and Marin. So this MA new pool is going to make a huge difference to the aquatic community. And we know that MA is not going to hoard this pool, as you've been hearing about, because they have a track record. They're going to open this as much as possible to community group like ours. We've experienced that. We've been a beneficiary of this partnership. We know they support our group. They support summer camps, youth sports. They also do that with their athletic field and their gym. They're a very generous and gracious host to community programs. So think of how many more adult swimmers we could embrace with a larger facility. We'll go from 5 tiny little lanes to 13 big, beautiful ones. And this prospect makes us downright giddy. So I want to thank you for considering this perspective from one member of Marin's large and very active swimming community. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So I'm unmuted the next caller. So if you hear the notification, press *6 to unmute yourself. Hello? Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to put them back on mute and move on to the next caller.
Thank you very much. Am I on?
Yes.
Hello? Thank you. Yes, my name is Brad Sears, and I own Victorian across the street from Marin Academy. I'm the closest neighbor, and I too am looking forward to having happy and healthy people in my neighborhood. And perhaps these comments or requests are unnecessary since Marin Academy has always, as Mike Joyce said, been very sensitive and considerate neighbor, and so have the students as well. But there's one thing that I hope that can be reviewed and adjusted, perhaps in parallel with the lighting adjustments that you mentioned in the staff report once the pool is working. There will be better and cheaper Bluetooth earbuds that will make aspects of coaching and music more individualized and quieter. I'm very concerned about nighttime noise. I understand there's a provision for the hours between 9 and 7 a.m. in the morning, and I can't imagine anything going on at night. So I think that's, I anticipate that as being an issue, and hope to work with Mike Joyce on perhaps volume limits and get some kind of feedback, because I like naps. And after all, this is the 5 MRO zoning, and that's 5th and Mission residential office, and it makes no mention of swimming pools, just residences and offices. So that's one thing. Let's see. I'm looking forward to swimming myself. So I guess my request is to leave open a review period for audio type of feedback concurrent with the lighting review. And that's about it. And thank you very much, Steve and Mike. Hello?
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Juliette Starrett, and I just wanted to leave a brief comment that I am the parent of a 10th grade water polo player at Marin Academy, and like the previous caller, also an aquatic family with a younger child who's been swimming on the orcas and all over Marin County for the last seven years as a family. I'm very confident that this pool is going to be a wonderful addition both to the Marin Academy community and the community at large. I have borne witness to Travis and her whole team's meticulous and thoughtful planning of this pool and all of their considerations to make sure it fits in well with the community, and I'm really confident it will. And I just wanted to voice my strong support for this pool. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marie Lyons. I am a parent at MA and the board chair, the chair of the Board of Trustees. And I want to thank you guys for your time tonight and voice my support for the project. This is a project MA's been working on for a long time. The school community is very invested and very supportive of it and wants to work with the neighbors. We see this not just as something that's going to be good for our students and our community, but also as a way to invest in our relationship with the city of San Rafael and especially with our neighbors. We want to give back by hosting Learn to Swim programs and other kinds of community swim programs. On a personal note, I also am a master swimmer. I think you'll be tired of hearing about master swimmers by the end of the evening. But there is a shortage of pools, and some people on my team heard about the Marin Academy Aquatic Center that we're building and contacted me and said, "How do we? You have connections there. How can you get us some lanes in that pool?" So, I think there's a big community need for this, and we are dedicated to working with the community and finding ways to try to keep everybody happy. So, thank you again for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mona Couchman. My daughter was a student at Marin Academy about 6 years ago, and she was not able to run or play any field sports because she had physical issues. She had flat feet. And her only options for a sport was swimming or water polo. And she joined both teams. So joining the water polo and the swim teams were both highlights of her high school education, as being in the pool gave her the opportunity to be part of a team, to gain confidence, and to get great exercise while not injuring her feet or her joints. I think there's a lot of people who have similar issues who can't have high impact activities. So having a pool really removes the barrier to being a part of the physical athletic team. It was really important for my daughter, and she was able to really flourish. We were fortunate enough to have attended MA and have had the access to their pool. But I think once this aquatic center is completed and knowing the generosity of MA's spirit, MA will have a lot of potential partnerships with the community to enable so many more Marin kids to have access to the same opportunity. To learn to swim, which is a life skill, to play water sports, to learn teamwork, to be lifeguard certified. There are endless benefits and opportunities, not only for Marin students, but also, as you've heard, the master's programs and beyond. So thank you for your time, and I urge the commissioners to please approve this plan for this much needed aquatic center for Marin Academy and for Marin County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we have one more caller with their hand up, and I'm going to mute them now, and then I'll move on to the chat comment that we have so far.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm trusting you can all hear me. My name is Rob Raffay. I am the Director of Athletics at Marin Academy. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time and for allowing us room to speak. I'm not going to reiterate everything that my colleagues and those who are in support of this project have said. All that, I echo all of that. I would like to touch on two things, and I'm sorry for the beeping in the background. One, in terms of community, I can't stress enough how excited we are for that piece of it, to get especially younger folks, disadvantaged folks, into a pool, into a Learn to Swim, and into a water safety program is a very exciting part of this. And as a director of athletics, that's something I am also looking forward in building those partnerships. Internally, and just to be brief, I'll tell you as an athletic director in the state that we live in today, in the pandemic world that we're living in, swimming is proving to be one of the safer activities that our kids can participate in. As we get kids back to being active and moving, the pool is one of the safer places. And so having this pool down the line, who knows what the future holds, but I can also see it as a huge bonus to, should we be in a similar situation, having a space for kids to work out, to be active, and to stay fit. So I just wanted to touch on those. And again, thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we have no more phone-in callers. If there's anybody else on the phone-in line that would like to speak, now is the time to press *9 to raise your hand. While we see if there's any others, I'll move on to we have a couple chat comments. This is, hello, my name is Graham Balch, and I'm a resident of San Rafael. I'm speaking in support of the construction of the agenda item of the Marin Academy swimming pool. In 2014, I suffered a trimalleolar fracture, meaning I broke my tibia, my fibula 6 times, plus a spinal fracture going up it, the lateral malleus, and I tore the ligaments. I joined the TAM Master Swim team a few months after the injury and showed up on crutches, having never done anything more than recreational swimming as a kid. Fast forward a few years, and now in 2016, I did an Ironman triathlon, swimming 2.4 miles, biking 112, and running 26.2. I could not have done that without being able to swim at the Marin Academy pool through the TAM Master Swim team. I strongly support the construction of the new Marin Academy pool for 2 principal reasons. 1, due to its more central location, it'll be less bothersome to the neighbors up the hill than the current location whenever it gets loud during water polo matches or coaches offering advice to swimmers. And 2, by expanding the size of the pool, it gives greater access to the community of Marin to swim, and not just Marin Academy students. Marin Academy has always been welcoming and open to sharing their facilities with the community. I'm sure that a larger pool will allow more San Rafael residents, young and old, rich and poor, of all walks of life, to learn to swim, be healthy, and get better at swimming. The pool is not just good for Marin Academy, it's good for San Rafael. And we also have comments from Maya Schultz. I think the potential missed opportunities in creating community partnerships with Learn to Swim programs, or in other words, the disapproval of this plan, would be a grave mistake. Knowing how to swim is an essential skill that oftentimes is overlooked, and one that is less accessible to people in low-income communities because of the higher costs for swim lessons and for membership in teams. Partnerships like the one MA has with Aim High will help create more opportunities for all to develop this life skill. Thank you for your time. So I'm not seeing any further chat comments, and it looks like we have 2 more callers here. So I'll unmute the first.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Jason Lee. I'm an alum from Marin Academy. I graduated in 2007. And I currently serve on the board of trustees at Marin Academy. I'm here to comment on my support for this project and hope for your approval here. As has been talked about here so many times from other people, I grew up in Marin, and I grew up in the Marin swim community. Started out in the Marin Swim League, joined in USA Swimming, and swam at Marin Academy. And in addition to that of being an MA student, I also was an instructor at the Crossroads Aim High summer program, where I worked with students and helped them learn how to swim and worked as a lifeguard in that pool. I think that to that extent, the ability to continue to provide that service and that access to the community is just such a vital part of anybody's experience, and is just a critical piece given the lack of pool space and really the lack of access that there is available to people across the community in Marin. And so I think to that extent, MA does have a history of working with the community and providing these services. This pool is an opportunity to continue to expand on that and really be able to expand this tradition of aquatics that has existed in Marin for so long, and being able to diversify and grow that community going forward. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just unmuted the last caller so they can press *6 to unmute themselves and speak.
Hi, my name's Bill Robertson. I'm a resident of San Rafael and live on Fifth Avenue. My daughter is a junior at
Marin Academy, and she's on the water polo team. So, indeed, a new pool is really needed for modern high school water sport. But I think more importantly, as it's already been articulated, that this will be an enhancement and an improvement for our larger community in San Rafael and the immediate neighborhood. One thing that I didn't hear touched on is that Marin Academy does this sort of thing pretty well, really well. It's a beautiful campus, and it enhances the neighborhood, and I think this addition will further enhance the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so no more callers, and still got another couple chat comments. So the next chat comment is, my name is Mary Colley. I've been the girls water polo coach at MA for 15 years now. I also teach English at MA, and I'm a San Rafael resident. As you've heard from many in and out of the MA community, the pool will do wonders for our school programs, and I'm most excited for what we hope to do with the San Rafael community. As a mom of 2 small children, I think water safety is essential, and there are so many young children and people in our city who do not know how to swim. This new facility will help us welcome the larger community to our community, get our athletes involved in passing on a love of the water, and help underserved communities gain needed access to the pool. In addition to learn to swim, there is great opportunity for learn to play polo programs. From splash ball to youth programs, water polo is a growing sport. We can help bring new players into the game. So many have loved. What a better way to connect with the entire San Rafael community than in the water. So I see no further chat comments and no further phone-in comments.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you a minute. And great, well, I appreciate everyone's comments. So let's close the public hearing and appreciate everybody who commented tonight. I'm gonna bring this back to the commission and kind of open it up. If there are any follow-up questions or points of discussion that the commission wants to raise, now's your chance. And if everybody is shy tonight, I'm happy to start taking volunteers.
I can start. I'll just go ahead and say that I think this project was well planned, and I appreciate the activation of the site and addressing some more drop-off areas along 5th, and just how the main building is held low. Obviously, there's a need for more pools, more pools that are able to really fulfill the requirements of competition and increase community access. And I appreciate Marin Academy's outreach and their long history of really giving back to San Rafael. So with that, I really don't have any other further comment on the project.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Prevatelli, go ahead.
I think this is a great project. I think it's going to be an excellent addition to the area. I love the community outreach and infrastructure aspect to it. As a former high school swimmer and water polo player, I can definitely confirm that it's good for people's health to swim, and I'm happy to see this being added to San Rafael. It's a great project.
Thank you.
All right, I'll go across the top. It's a great project. It'll help the community. It's actually called out in the General Plan 2020. The city was hoping to put a full-size pool, competitive pool in. But it's nice that Marin Academy will be doing it, and the community will have access to it. So it's great.
Thank you, Commissioner Lubomirsky. Anyone else want to comment?
Yeah, I think I'm going to mirror a lot of what's already been said. Marin Academy has shown itself to be historically as a strong partner and neighbor to the community. I would just say that any review, I request for review, I anticipate that the Marin Academy leadership will continue to work with the community to mitigate and work well. But I think this is a strong project. Thanks.
Go ahead, Commissioner Davidson. Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
I want to talk about a couple of points that were raised by one of the speakers regarding the lighting and the noise. And I would anticipate that as the build is completed and in use, that Marin Academy will continue to be responsive to the concerns if it does become some sort of a nuisance to the community. So I just want to say that I don't feel the need to impose any conditions of approval. And it may have been addressed already in the staff report. I don't remember seeing it, but I don't know, Ali, if you want to talk about it a little bit, maybe hear from Marin Academy and how they would deal with these issues if it does become an issue.
So one thing that I would mention is that we do have a standard requirement that there's a 90-day post-construction review of the lighting, so that would occur. But because this is a pool, there might be some nuances that I'm hoping Steve can jump in and provide some input, or if you prefer to hear from the applicant regarding the lighting, that might be helpful as well. I do see, it looks like there's somebody specifically on here that has been given the designated lighting task.
Patty, do you want to, or Scott, do you want to introduce Patty and maybe have her talk about lighting a little bit?
Sure, Patty. You can unmute yourself and share a little bit about the analysis you did and the 1 foot candle level that we have to achieve at the property line. So, Patty, are you there?
I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I will unmute and let me see if I can video myself. Seem to be good with the mute, but not with the video. Okay, I'll just talk for a moment. So indeed, I was brought on specifically because of the concerns about the lighting in the neighborhood. And I think we've gone to considerable lengths to control the lighting, both from making sure that the lighting does not trespass into neighboring properties. And also the kind of light fixtures we're using are extremely controlled. They're really very unique in how specific they are when we're lighting both the pool deck and also the pool itself. So I think the 90-day review is going to prove, I can't anticipate exactly what's going to come up, because I think we've really anticipated a lot of the concerns that might be coming up in the neighborhood. But I do think the 90-day approval period and review period is going to be critical in just making sure everyone's comfortable. We also have made recommendations, and I think this is being engineered, to have occupancy and vacancy sensors, so the lighting can go off automatically if people aren't in the area or down to a lower level. And we also have a dimming capacity, so the light fixtures actually can dim up and down. So there's a lot of flexibility as well as a lot of control over the lighting.
Thank you. Commissioner Davidson, any follow-up?
No, for the most part, I agree with the comments. Marine Academy is a great neighbor. I live right next door on G Street. It's never been a problem. And from what I hear, Marine Academy has been really responsive. I'm also looking forward to seeing that parcel upgrade. And I think this is a great addition, not just for the school, but community in this area. So I'm ready to support the approval of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the commission? Any other thoughts, issues? Vice Chair Samutzi, I'm looking at you. No? Great. So, I would, yeah, I'd echo what everybody was said. You know, the one thing sometimes in these instances, maybe we'd look at a condition of approval. I'm looking at number 79 that has that ongoing lighting compliance standard, and whether including sound or anything like that would be here. But I think Commissioner Davidson hit it really well. Of this seems like something that the applicant would do. So from their track record and their history, that was the only one I thought about maybe trying to modify to include something of that follow-up for the sound. But it sounds like the applicant on its own will likely work with the community to the extent of making sure any of those events when they come in are respectful of the neighborhood. The only other item I wanted to, well, we can get that maybe. No, I'll bring it up now. I just wanted to make sure with staff as well. We are going to get a revised resolution, I gather, to reflect the CEQA update. And is there going to be a change to item 34? There's going to be change in language on that as well?
Yes, there will be.
Okay. So then, unless the commission has any more deliberation or issues, I would say if anybody wants to entertain a motion, we should probably include direction on clarifying item 34, and we may be looking for staff to just kind of confirm what they want. And then to the extent we need to clarify that CEQA analysis in the resolution. And again, I'd look to the team on making sure we're putting that on the record correctly.
Chair Mercado, I'll try to make that motion. That makes sense at this point.
Great. Rock and roll.
All right. I'd like to move to approve including adjustments to the CEQA reference to 15314 instead of 15332, as well as modification to condition 34 to be inclusive of the option for adjustment of lot line as well as merge and consolidate.
I second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Does anybody have issues, concerns, want to deliberate that? I don't think so. Okay, great. Then the staff can take roll call based off of this motion and second.
Sure. Commissioner Davidson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes.
Commissioner Lubomirsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Privatali?
Yes.
Commissioner Saudi?
Yes.
Vice Chair Samutzi?
Yes.
And Chair Mercado?
Yes. Great. Okay, thank you. And I'll ask if staff can please advise the applicant and the public of any appeal rights, if there are any in this decision.
Sure. The Planning Commission's decision is final unless it is appealed to the City Council within 5 business days, ending Tuesday, October 20th at 5 p.m. Anyone wishing to appeal the decision should contact the city clerk by email at city.clerk2@cityofsanrafael.org or by phone at 415-485-3066. And they can make arrangements on how to file the appeal in that way.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll close that one out. That will close the public comment, or excuse me, the public hearing items for the night. Thank you to the applicant and the team and staff for putting that together. Really appreciate it. Next, we will move on to the director's report.
Okay, so I just have a couple of items just related to the Planning Commission schedule. Coming up on October 27th, your commission is going to be receiving a report out on the general plan and precise plan, and I believe some draft documents as well. And then on November 17th, we have the inclusionary housing and zoning code amendments related to to housing and streamlining the processes that you saw earlier in the last couple of months. That'll be coming back in a more formal recommendation related to the zoning code amendments. So that's coming back on November 17th. There are some additional planning commission dates that have been floated around. One is in December and one is in January. It sounds like almost everybody has responded. So if you haven't responded to Rafi's email regarding those dates, please make sure you do. I also wanted to mention that in November, just related to the inclusionary housing and zoning code amendments, we are going to be hearing the Design Review Board's comments on the topic of the Design Review Advisory Committee structure and process changes that you heard earlier a couple of months ago. And so we're going to be seeking the full board's input on that, what that format will look like. There are a number of questions that came up and some recommendations by the Planning Commission and discussions that occurred also at the City Council level. So we will be seeking some input from the full board at the November hearing. This will be a publicly noticed hearing. It'll be in a video conference, audio conference type of a Zoom meeting. And we will be sending out notifications to the housing and homeowners associations. And that's all I have, unless Rafi has anything else to add.
Nope.
Okay, that's it. Thanks
Thank
everybody
you.
for tonight,
Thank you.
as always.
So, public commission or planning commissioners, any updates, communications you want to provide staff, the commission, or the public? Don't all jump on this at once. All right. Well, I just want to thank Steve again tonight for rolling with that and dealing with that. And then Commissioner Hill, props on putting together that nice modification with citing to the sequel references. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we are good to go. I think that will be it. And I'll adjourn the meeting tonight at 8:29. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.